Let's get a quick take on this last topic. The Denver Post told its staff on Thursday that it intends to cut another 20% of its newsroom staff in a second round of buyouts in the last 12 months. Denver Post CEO Mac Tully told staffers that the newsroom will be reorganized and work style and jobs will change. Kristen, let's do a short take on this one, but not good news from Denver's major single daily.
Absolutely, and a big customer of the Associated Press. Now, your heart goes out when anybody is losing their jobs, but I'm a little more optimistic about the media industry than some would suggest. Maybe not in the newspapers, but there's a lot of websites, there's a lot of very fascinating work and a lot of exciting young journalists doing really exciting work in journalism these days, and I think there is opportunity. Maybe a newspaper model isn't the one, and that's sad to see, but I don't think there's reason to think there's not going to be a good way for people to find out information about what's going on around them.
Patty, are we going to recognize the Post in a year?
No, well, I hope we even see it to recognize it. We would not recognize it from 10 years ago when the newsroom had 330 people, and now we're going to go down to about 100. This is depressing, and sadly, it is not just the dailies that are doing it in Denver and around the country. We're seeing cutbacks at TV stations. We are seeing many fewer journalism positions. So it's great that there are other options, but let's make sure those options can pay for themselves. We don't want to lose more.
David, what do you think? Is this going to at least help stem the tide? Hopefully this reorganization can lead to something that can be profitable?
People in this country think they're entitled to something for nothing. They think they're entitled to news from, say, the Denver Post without paying for a subscription. And yeah, you have to look at these little ads, but the economics are that the revenue from those ads doesn't come close to what the revenue used to be from the print ads. And of course, you actually had to pay for the newspaper to buy it. They likewise think they're entitled to Social Security and Medicare and all that, which is fine, but you have to have, if you want all this without any cuts or reforms, then we have to have huge tax increases to have it. But nobody wants to do that. So we've doubled the national debt in the last 2 years. The country's headed off a fiscal cliff, and that's a macro problem of the same reason that traditional newspapers are getting hit so hard.
Eric, we have a situation where we already have a decimated newsroom, the Denver Post. It's the only daily in town. We're going to start seeing some effects of that even further in what we talked about around this table.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the effects. One newspaper is gone, has been gone now for half a dozen years or so. The other newspaper, the Post, is a shell of its former self. I have to wonder whether this news that this was coming precipitated maybe Greg Moore's decision to leave 6 or 8 weeks ago, having been through one round of layoffs after another. If there's any good news here, and I'm being very tongue-in-cheek, it's that a 20% cut of a lower base. Right. It's fewer and fewer bodies all the time. I'm obviously being tongue-in-cheek. Kristen is right. It's sad for a lot of talented journalists who either have to find a new line of work or a new outlet for the content and often excellent content that they generate.